Great.
Thank you very much indeed, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great opportunity to come and talk to you on this, which is a key week because it is actually the start of the tender process for our first replacement for the MAC contracts, but more of that in a moment. As many of you will know, Highways Agency, we're responsible for a relatively small proportion of the network, 3%, 4,300 miles, but one that is strategically important and carries over a third of the traffic. And unlike other government departments and authorities, we've been facing a period of major change. The response to budget cuts and other factors that I will explain to you. I want to go through just what we have done in response to that and how I genuinely feel that represents a real opportunity that we can grasp as a highways agency to change the way that we do things for the better. So, contracting for highways maintenance. The focus for us as an organisation for many years has been on ensuring that we provide safe roads, which we've done very successfully, that we have, as far as we are able, reliable roads, and the PSA target that we've recently seen broadly achieved for reliability was a big discipline on how we would do our maintenance on the network, what we would do when we would do it. And of course, providing good information to the public so that they knew what to expect. Clearly, those are still very important to us, but we, as any business, have to adapt to change, and we've had two very key changes that will, I think, lay the foundation for agency maintenance in the future. One is the Public Accounts Committee review, contract of highway maintenance. The other is the comprehensive cross-government spend review 2010. The focus now, clearly, is on the best service provision at lowest cost. That's not saying we're forgetting about the needs of the user. It's saying that we need to strike a new balance. So looking at the Public Accounts Committee, it followed a very lengthy review of the way that we contract, looking into our MAC contracts in great detail. And it was comforting that it did actually report the outcome at the PAC hearing that the MAC largely followed best practice. But it did say that action was needed, and essentially it said that while the MAC contract provided all the basics for delivering value for money, we needed to get a better commercial grip in order to deliver those savings. Getting a commercial grip isn't about confrontation. It's actually about working with your supply chain, something again that was emphasized this morning. The PAC went on also to say that standards documents underpinning the MAC and defining precisely what our suppliers did should ensure that wherever possible they're outcome-based, so less prescriptive but clearer on what we want to achieve. The spend review was a major moving of the goalposts as far as me personally was concerned. I was already developing an update of the MAC contract to reflect the findings of the PAC when we had the outcome of the spend review. Overall agency expenditure down from just over £2.5 billion a year to about £2 billion a year. And just to highlight what that means in terms of our lump sum maintenance activity, the routine maintenance activity, you can see that a similar 25% cut is required of us from 2012-13 onwards. So a major challenge if we are to balance the books, and the reality is that there is no money to be had. We have to live within our means. So, what do the cuts mean in everyday terms? Well, the old adage, sweating the asset, is something that we will need to look at more carefully. Do we need to do maintenance work and do it in the way that we have traditionally adopted? Think how we can squeeze more out of the asset. And moving to a more affordable level of service. And think about the supermarket displays. They all have them. They have their premium brands and they have their value brands. They both provide nutritious food. You might prefer one rather than the other, but we need to start looking at the value range as something that will provide an acceptable level of service, but it will save money and be affordable. And leaving some of the more cosmetic and minor defects where they don't present a safety risk until it's more cost-effective to do them. We have a very limited small improvements budget, so we will see fewer improvements on the network in the next 4 years. But the one thing that we must avoid is that we mustn't move to short-termism. We have an asset valued at, I think as Sue said, £87 billion, and we must preserve that asset and think long-term. The strategy for change, therefore, is that with such a level of cut, salami slicing isn't an option. We do need to, fundamentally though, review the MAC contract and the standards that support it so that we can still manage the value of the asset, but do it more cost-effectively. We will respond to the PAC recommendations and look at new outcome-based requirements via the Asset Maintenance Operational Requirements, a new document that will replace our routine and winter service code. And then finally, the more radical solution to address financial and performance challenges, the asset support contract itself. And I'll say a little about that. And the key changes. We again were reminded this morning about the importance of dialogue with the supply chain, rather than as a client telling the supply chain what you want and just say, go away and do it. We certainly do recognise the importance of liaison. We have the maintenance community. We've been talking to them to share our views on improvements, posing some key questions about what do they think will need to be done to the contract. What sort of contract would they see as delivering a well-maintained network at minimum cost? And also bearing in mind that our maintenance community do represent those that support the private finance contracts that we have. And how can we align the agency's objectives with the contract incentives that will ensure our supply chain will feel incentivized to deliver the outcomes that we're looking for. And we did also explore with them the move to outcome-based requirements, which isn't straightforward, does involve some risk for the client, risk for the supplier, but the dialogue ensures that we have a common understanding on that.